Welcome to another episode of the Office Altering Hiring and Empowering Solutions podcast. If you're a returning listener, welcome back. And if you're a first-time listener, hopefully you will become a long-time listener. As always, I'm your show host, Molly McGrath, founder of Hiring and Empowering Solutions and creator of this revolutionary podcast. You can check us out at hiringandempowering.com. So today's theme we're going to dive right in is proven law firm Facebook ads. What's working and what's not working. And our guest today is Jim Blake of BAMBiz Online Marketing for specifically, and I love your niche specific, of estate planning and elder law attorneys, which many of you know that's been my niche as well for the past 22 years. And what I love about BAMBiz, I have met Jim through mutual client, and they had shared with me their success in Facebook ads and what they were doing. And when I saw the results that they were creating, I immediately hunted you down, Jim, and got on the phone with you and say, tell me what you are doing. And can you tell us a little bit about why estate planning and elder law attorneys? I know you don't deviate from working with that niche specific practice area, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we only work with estate planning and elder law attorneys throughout the country of the United States. And by the way, thank you for having me on. I greatly appreciate it.
Indeed.
Why estate and elder law attorneys? Well, we used to work with all sorts of different industries. And my wife actually used to work for Elder Council doing their event planning for their immersion camps and other educational conferences that they would host. And then she actually moved on to the Heckerling Institute. So working with estate planning attorneys and that big conference, she was the director of events for that. So just by being her guest at these events, I would meet all these different elder law and estate planning attorneys throughout the country. And they were all really good at practicing law, or maybe they were starting out their practice, but they always wanted to get new clients coming in the door. And I asked them, what are you doing to get those clients coming in the door? And, lots of answers that we were getting were like, we're advertising in the yellow pages, or we're doing direct mail, or we have a little newspaper in our community and we're putting a marketing in there. Some people would just be like, people just come in, I hung my sign outside and I'm just crossing my fingers and hoping that people come in the door. And so I was like, there's a better way to do this. And so we started marketing for elder law first. And we were just trying to get people in the community to engage with them. And by engage with them, I mean that they would provide their contact information to receive some type of resource that was provided by the attorney. And that was really successful. And then it kind of morphed in from providing ebooks and white papers and recorded videos to providing an opportunity for the communities to register and sign up for live workshops that the attorneys are hosting. And that ended up being our sweet spot, getting people in and registered for these live workshops.
So in particular, you and I've talked about this many times throughout the years since we've met. What I hear from attorneys all the time when I'm working with them is when they talk to me about their process, even sending out a confirmation letter for booking an appointment or whatever it might be, they say, my first question is, why are you not emailing these versus sending them out in old school snail mail? And the number one response I get, our clients, they're not on digital. They don't respond to email, and or they're not on Facebook or social media. They're very much old school and want to receive it in the mail. And talk to us a little bit about that. I'm sure you've heard that as well, right?
Right. That seems to be like the number one pushback, right? Like, well, our clients are an older generation and they're not going to be on Facebook, or they're not on Instagram, or they're not on whatever that platform may be. And that's completely wrong. And the way that I found this out was by working with my first elder law attorney and seeing the response that was generated by the marketing that we were putting out. It was way better than all the other industries that we had worked with. And I thought to myself, how is this the case? Why are these marketing messages being so well received, especially by those over 65 years old? And then I kind of stepped back and I looked at even my own grandmother. And so she's not tech savvy whatsoever. But you know what she really likes to do? She really likes to look at her iPad and she likes to look at pictures of her grandkids and her kids,
Mm.
and she likes to see those interactions because we live all over the country. And she does that on Facebook. And she's not used to being marketed to on a tablet because the tablet itself is new, right? She's very used to being marketed to via direct mail or in the newspaper or by the phone, but she's not used to being marketed to on the tablet or on the mobile device or on the computer. And I started talking to other people, and they all had the same thing. Grandma's online looking at pictures of her family. Grandpa's online. My parents are online. My mom, she's probably the first one to like any picture that I post on Facebook ever, right? Which is a great thing, right? But she's on there, and she would be the target market right now for any of these elder law or estate planning attorneys. So they're there. The actual statistic is around 7 in 10 adults are on Facebook. And of those adults, 46% of those adults are over 60 that are over 65 are on Facebook. So basically 50% of anybody that you see that's over 65 years old are active and on Facebook. And that's up from 20% of the active 65 and up group that was in 2012. So between 2012 and that statistics from 2019, there's been massive growth of the amount of people over the age of 65 on Facebook. And that study was done by the Pew Research Center.
Wow. You know what I love about that when you just said that? I mean, take direct mail or any type of old school retail marketing. The percentage that I've heard over the years is your conversion rate should be around 20%, right? You're just throwing it against the wall and seeing what sticks versus that statistic that you just educated us with. We already know that 50%, you already know you have your avatar, your ideal client, your target market, which with Facebook ads, and you can talk to us a little bit about what is working and what is not working, you can get so specific in your targeting and your setup, right?
Yeah, you can be as specific or as general as you want to be. And we've played around with both of those. And what we found is when you're targeting your local community, you actually want to be a little bit more general, but you want to be specific with your message, right? You want to disqualify people with what you're saying instead of your targeting, because you're not targeting millions of people, you're targeting thousands of people. And so that'll kind of disqualify people on its own on the message. We can get more into that if you have any questions there, but I mean, you will reach people online with Facebook, and you're not going to be spending that much money because you're only showing your ads to the people that are qualified.
Right. So can you talk to us a little bit about why an estate planning and or elder law attorney wants to get on this train now and start, where the proof of concept is in regards to trying this modality of marketing and making the shift into the digital age?
I mean, why not? I guess is my thing is you're probably spending money marketing doing something anyways, right? And so I would say for a month or two, just shift whatever you're spending over to online with a reputable company and go for it and see what your return's going to be. The reason I think that the workshops have been the most successful as far as what people are asking us to market is because if we started marketing something today, and let's just say today was the first of the month, by the first of the month, next month, you've already hosted a workshop, you've already seen people come into your workshop, and you've already scheduled clients and maybe even retained some of them. So the ROI is pretty immediate. Whereas some of the other marketing methods, like you said, it's you're just throwing it out there and you're hoping that one or the first person that does this or the 200th person that does this might become a client. But with the workshops, like it's within like 30 days, you're seeing results immediately.
Yeah, and the clients that I work with that have used your services, they absolutely have. Quite often, I know the first few people that I sent over to, they were in a cash flow crisis, if you will, and they're like, all right, we need to do something. Our direct mail's dried up, our list is dried up, what have you. We need to get our calendar full. Our workshops we've had to cancel because we don't have anyone in here. And I said, okay, here's something that you can try that I understand creates immediate results. I know I've seen it. And it's incredible. What I love about your process, and you mentioned this earlier, you need to work with a company that knows what you do, why people hire you, why people write you checks, what your ideal client looks like, and you're so niche specific in your process. So anyone, if you're in a different area of law, make sure that whoever you work with, they know about your business, they know about your clients, and they understand the targeting, that you don't have to educate them, because your process, Jim, what I love is you've already tested it, and the work on the attorney is so minimal. They get on the phone with you, you already know everything about their audience, about the messaging, exactly what they need to do. My understanding is their only quote unquote work that they have to do for you is record a video and give you the workshop dates, right?
Correct. Yes. They record a video that we give them scripts for, and they shoot that with their smartphone. They don't hire a team of people to come in and film that. And then, yeah, they give us the dates for their workshop at least 2 weeks ahead of time. And we do everything else from that part. They are responsible, and we give them the best practices for it, but for the follow-up, right? And I'll kind of go over this if you're interested in me talking about it, the difference of how the follow-up works between somebody that they register for like a direct mail campaign or they register online. There's a difference there.
Yes,
and
please.
maybe some people have experienced that unknowingly. And so I can kind of go over that for you. When somebody, and direct mail still works, by the way, like direct mail is not, I'm not, hating on direct mail. The only thing that we've seen with direct mail is that, that you're competing with a lot of other people doing the same thing. And so like my parents, for example, my dad gets targeted all the time, and he actually provides me with the flyers so I can look at them for market research, right? But from financial advisors, from estate planning attorneys, from elder law attorneys, from all sorts of different professional services groups, and they invite him to the dinner seminars or whatever via the postcard. And most of those go in the trash. If you do want to, say somebody is interested, because some people will be interested in those, then they call the number or go to the website and place their registration. Then they place that direct mail piece on their kitchen table, or they put that on their refrigerator. They're reminded of it on a daily basis. Oh yeah, I'm coming to that event. With what we're doing and online, like I said, grandma could register for your event while she's looking at pictures of grandkids and sitting in a recliner watching the evening news, right? And so the biggest part of that is she was interested, she clicked it, she engaged with it, she wants to come to the event, but maybe she'll forget, right? Maybe because she's not having that constant reminder on her kitchen table, she's going to not show up for the event. So the big key is going to be, if you're using us or you're doing it on your own, when somebody does place a reservation for your event, or even if they're not an event, if it's just somebody that requests like a guide download, your office wants to follow up with those people as fast as they possibly can. And so we're talking like if it's within business hours, within the hour or the half hour or 5 minutes of them actually registering or placing that request. If it's outside of business hours, then as soon as you can the next day, because you want to get them excited and remind them about the events. You want to say, hey, Mrs. Smith, thank you so much for registering for our event. Did you have any questions that you wanted the attorney to go over at the event? Great, we're saving your seat. And then kind of thank them again and get off the phone. And you want to do that again probably 2 or 3 more times before the actual event to keep them engaged and keep them going. And there is a little bit of pushback that we typically get on that because they don't want to bother the people. But what they need to understand is that they're not bothering somebody that's requested to come to the event. But they're doing them a disservice by not following up with them because they had an interest in the event. They requested to come to the event, and now they forgot about the event. They'll probably be sitting there if you're, oh, shoot, I was supposed to go to that event yesterday. So you were just doing them a disservice by not following up. So definitely follow up with the people. And typically you're going to get great attendance rates if you do so. So probably somewhere around 75 to 80% attendance rates. If you are doing the follow-ups, is pretty standard.
I hear that all the time. I don't want to bother. And I know firsthand that anytime that I follow up with someone, the number one statement out of their mouth is, thank you. Thank you for following up with me. It's never that you're bothering them, right?
No, I mean, because you're not bothering them because you didn't make them, you didn't twist their arm to register, request your information, right? If they're not interested anymore, they'll tell you on the phone, I can't come, or please don't call me again or whatever. And that's okay. There's going to be a percentage of people out there that are like that, and don't let that get to your head. Move on and help the people that want to be helped.
Mm. So, you know what's coming up for me? Our listeners could be either solo practitioners that have spent $0 or energy on any marketing. They didn't know nothing about direct mail. They've never tried it. It just seemed very, very costly, in addition to a tremendous amount of work to build, facilitate, and then deploy any type of retail marketing strategy. So what I love about this is if you're a solo practitioner, you're just hanging your shingle, and or a lot of your businesses come from referral, word of mouth, etc. And you are at a tipping point where you are growing, controlled growth, and you want to start filling your calendar, you want to start deploying a workshop strategy. And if you do not have a workshop strategy, I would highly, highly recommend, as Jim mentioned, organizations such as Elder Council. They do have workshops in a box, if you will. Your listservs that you belong to, your legal communities that you belong to, your colleagues are. So that's what I love about estate planning and elder law attorneys in particular. They're so abundant. They're willing to share anything that has worked for them in the past. So reach out to your resources. And if you don't have any, shoot me a message and I will hook you up with some people in your area, depending on where you're at, to support you with giving you access to PowerPoints and workshop models that do work, because it leverages your time. People love community and connection. There's nothing more intimidating than you calling a law firm and you coming in and sitting one-on-one with an attorney versus being in a community in a group setting where you get to go to a free complimentary 1 hour, 2 hour workshop where you get educated. You're with other people, very safe environment where you learn, you don't feel like you're being sold to, et cetera, is all from a place of education versus sales. And then from there, if you have a great workshop, then you drive people to taking that next inspired action, which is coming in and meeting with you. So definitely, if you are not deploying the workshop model, highly, highly recommend it. If you're a solo practitioner, maybe you're in a place of building or scaling or up-leveling your practice. What I love about the Facebook model is that, and in particular, working with BAMBIZ, online marketing for estate planning and elder law attorneys, is that there's not a tremendous amount of risk for you. The cost is insignificant, to your point, Jim. I mean, talk to us a little bit about, they get on the phone with you, and I really want to make this clear. I'm not trying to, this is not a commercial at all for BAMBIZ, but it is an absolute unwavering stand for you making the shift and trying out getting into the Facebook world and the Facebook ads. You've heard the statistics about that, and it's working. It is flat out working. I know many, many law firms here that would be delighted, over the moon, if they got 10 qualified leads. They would freak out. They wouldn't even know what to do with them. So, I mean, it's working. And the cost, what are you seeing? Just to give people a picture, they're like, all right, I hear you. I'm willing to explore this, but what can I expect to be spending on these ads, and what kind of results can I be, on average, looking for?
Yeah, so the very cool thing that we do provide as well, we do have PowerPoint templates and intake forms that you can use. So if you do work with us, we'll provide that stuff to you. I mean, as a resource, you can use it or not use it, but it is there because we've had so many people request that we produce that for you. So it's available. As far as the cost, it's unbelievable. For a workshop, to get somebody, we call them households. Some people call them buying units. So it could be one person or more if it was like the senior bringing their adult children or vice versa. It's about, for depending on estate planning or elder law somewhere between average nationwide $30 to $40 an average ad spend to get a household to place their RSVP. And then probably about $35 to $45 average nationwide to get an estate planning client, because there's just a little more competition, I believe, for that. Now, with that being said, That's the average numbers. Right now, we just did one in Alabama. They got $7 registrations. California, we just did one that was excellent. It was getting $23 registrations. And then, there's other areas of the country where it's a little more competitive, where they're getting $60, $70 registrations. And that's okay because they're paying a lot more than that with other mediums. So they knew that going in. You could tell they're like, oh, this is still unbelievable because I was paying, $300 a registration or whatever with what I was doing before. So $70 is nothing. And then that scales. So we have some clients that do these events in their own conference center at their office with like 5 to 10 people. And we have other clients that are renting out hotel ballrooms and fitting over 100 different households in there every single month. So it's up to you on what you want to do, but that number scales to whatever your needs are. And then we just build out everything to get the registrations based on your goals.
Wow. That's what I love about it too. It's not about, okay, the goal is 100 people to fill a ballroom. The first level goal might be 10, I can fit 10 people in my workshop space, in my office or my Regis, wherever your office is. And you start where they're at and take them to where they want to go and then scale up. Even at $70, let's take that high, $70 per household registration. I've always heard from doing direct mail and ads in the paper and radio, whatever different mediums you use, that you need to anticipate between $135 to $150 per lead. And people were happy with that way back when. And now hearing you even $7, or even if it's $70 and your goal is to get 10 registrants for your first workshop in your office, which I know my clients that are working with you, none of them have had $70. I think I have a law firm that just used your services and they said, all right, great, let's give it a try. They're like, they had wasn't that they didn't have hope that it would work, but their expectations were not, this has to work. Their expectation was, let's give it a try and see how it goes. And I know they had shared with me, they exceeded their goals. They absolutely filled out their very first workshop for $180 and just delighted with that.
Yeah, I have there. I'm not going to say who it is,
yes,
but I'll give you the exact numbers.
Okay, great.
They ended up getting 12 households to sign up for their event. So it wasn't the largest one in the world, right? But they ended up getting each household to sign up for $12.65 a piece. So they spent a total of $151.83 to fill their workshop. In addition to that, some statistics that I don't care about, but some people like them. They're vanity metrics, I call them. But 4,018 people actually saw the ad. So even though that only 12 people signed up, the marketing message for their firm, the people in their community, they were able to see that message. That was quite a lot of people that were able to see that for $150. And then they still were able to fill their workshop, which is great.
Wow. So I know many people would be absolutely delighted with that spend, over the moon with that vanity metrics, because the 4,000 people that saw the ad or what have you, you don't know that they didn't go and Google your law firm. You don't know, even though they didn't click on the ad, and then they have that imprinted. And next time they do see your ad, what have you. And what I love about this is number one, the spend. My goodness, you can't beat that with a stick. But the victory that you get when you start to see the registrations coming in, and then when your client service coordinator starts making the phone calls and you start having that workshop registration, there's so much accountability, if you will, that I like about it, is because then you have to show up. You have to deliver the workshop. Sometimes I feel like when people work with different marketing mediums that they deploy, a lot of times they'll use retail ads such as direct mail or what have you, because to almost hide out. And I know this sounds completely silly, but sometimes they trick themselves that they're doing something in regards to marketing, but they're not, because they're just writing a check and then just throwing it at various things, but there's no hope or faith that it's going to work. And then they get to say, well, that didn't work. I don't have to show up and deliver a workshop or whatever it means. I know that sounds completely silly, but I have had so often where people, when they're starting out with marketing, they're so fearful about that I hear this deep sigh, like of relief when they have no registrations for a workshop, what have you. So this works. And if that's you, where you've been hiding out in some of just writing random checks or just throwing a bunch of stuff against the wall, I'm telling you, this is going to work. So if you're really serious about getting leads, qualified leads in your door, you're very serious about deploying this work. And I love that you have a PowerPoint and all that for them. I didn't know that. So that's fantastic that you can supply that. If you're deploying this and you're considering doing Facebook ads, let me just tell you, as a sidebar, start working on your presentation skills if that's something that you're not familiar with or you're not comfortable with, whether it be Toastmasters or what have you, because the second you deploy the ad, the leads are coming in.
That is true. Toastmasters is great too. I've done that program before.
Yeah, me too.
Can't recommend that enough.
Well, it just hit me when, I'm thinking of even the firms that used you, and one firm in particular, I know that they're like, oh my God, we have registrations. Now what? And they're panicking and saying, I have to deliver this workshop. And almost I had heard this statement that this is too fast. Like, we need to pause. I need to, they put the brakes on it. And a lot of times why you aren't taking action is just because of your own fear and not being prepared to be front and center. You've heard this before. I know, even the video, right? How many people put the pause to break? They, like you said, they want to bring in the big camera crews. They feel like they have to hire someone for this glorious video. And I know you and I have talked about, you're like, no, iPhone, it converts the best.
Oh yeah, I mean, the more professional your video looks, the worse your results are going to be. And it goes back to, not because people don't want to watch a very pretty video, it goes back to the medium that you're marketing these messages on, which is Facebook and online and social media. The more professional it looks, the more you're not going to connect with the audience. The people want it to look like it's supposed to be there, that like you are their friend. It needs to blend in with the channel that they're watching at that time. So if you're putting some kind of professional thousands of dollar video in the middle of that, it's just going to pass them right by. It doesn't blend in. It's just going to, they're not, and second, and I've heard this complaint on a client of ours that had done this. They're like, look how expensive this video probably was to produce. They must be, this lawyer must just be crazy expensive. I'm not ever going to go there, and so it gives them the wrong, when you're doing these educational workshops, the marketing message needs to be kind of what you were saying before, Molly, where it needs to be like, we're doing this educational workshop for a benefit for our community. If you do business with us or not, that's okay, because we want to make sure that this knowledge gets out to the community. We want to be a helpful asset to the community. And the more your message is going to look like that, the more people are going to actually want to come to your workshop. And then when you're at the workshop, obviously you'll have the opportunity to build the relationships with those people and convert those people into consultations so that they do become a retained client for you.
I love that, because that's exactly what I hear from attorneys all the time, or when they create their videos, they're in a 3-piece suit or, behind the heavy marble desk. And to your point, the message that you're sending is, number one, we're not approachable. Number two, we're really expensive. Number three, that it's all about us, versus speaking into the listening of your audience in a way to make a difference for them. Those are always the videos that I watch, is when there's somebody in their yoga clothes or their baseball hat or in a golf shirt or whatever it might be, because it just resonates. I'm like, they're human just like me. They are down to earth. They're approachable. Just even how you show up on your iPhone, it already communicates to them to stop and pause, because they feel like they have a connection with you immediately, right?
Oh, that is definitely correct. And you'll find that if you do try it, like I said, you're more than welcome to go try this on your own. And you'll see results if you're doing and you're following these steps. You'll connect more regardless of what you're doing by posting videos that are quote unquote non-professional, very casual videos.
Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about the process, if you will, and what makes it work in regards to, and what's not working. So I think we already talked about what's not working, right? The big glamorous videos that make you look like you're unapproachable. What else isn't working for anyone who wants to take a stab at this and go and do it on their own? What drive-by coaching would you give them in regards to what's not working? And then let's talk about what is working.
For sure. So there's three things basically that attorneys are falling into with as far as like Facebook ads, or I tend to stay away from quote unquote Facebook ads. I call them just online marketing because Facebook just happens to be the platform that we're using to attract the attention, but it's not the end game. Facebook isn't the reason why they're coming to your events. That's just where people are hanging out and watching your ad. So the attorneys aren't doing them at all. The attorneys or the paralegal are trying to create these type of ads, but they're doing them unsuccessfully because they don't have the knowledge to do them efficiently. Or they're hiring an agency that does marketing for all different types of companies. So they're helping a cleaning service one day, they're helping an automotive repair facility one day, and then they called up your firm and they say, hey, we can do elder law ads online, which is so different. So, and then they're like, well, that didn't work. And now they don't want to try it again. So those are the three different attorneys that we've seen and how they're doing Facebook ads. And regardless if it's for workshop or not, there's like 5 things that you really need to go over. And the first thing you need to think about is like, what is my goal? Like, do I want people to come in for a workshop? Do I want consultations? Like, what is my goal overall? And then the second one is, who is my ideal client, which is that avatar that you had mentioned before. So what does this person look like? Where do they live? How many kids do they have? What are their assets? Just basically take 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes and really write out every detail of the type of person that you want to help. And then after that, you want to, you go from who is my ideal client and what they look like. And then you go into what is their number one pain point. So like for elder law attorneys, a lot of the client's pain point is they want to protect their home and their savings from the high cost of long-term or nursing home care. And then you want to think about, how can I help? What information can I provide to that person with that pain point that will be able to help them? And this will help for people that aren't even in estate planning and elder law, personal injury attorneys, family law. Think about that same process there. Who is my, what is my goal? Who is my ideal client? What do they look like? How can I help? And then you want to break patterns. So now that you have all that information, your goal is when somebody is online, to get them to stop what they're doing and read your message. So you want to break their patterns and attract their attention. You want to have a simple call to action, and you want to collect their contact information. And then you want to provide an easy win for that person. So if that's providing them with a guide that gives them some tips about the pain point that you're alleviating for them, or having them register for the workshop, but you want to provide that easy win or value piece. And then you want to follow up over and over and over and over again until they tell you to never call them again or follow up again, or hopefully they retain you. And then you just repeat that process over and over again, and you'll have a successful online marketing strategy.
Yeah, and especially if you have a blog or some kind of nurture campaign, once you collect that lead and put them in there. I've talked about this multiple times, but even if they don't register for the workshop, you get a qualified lead is so amazing, or they don't show up for the workshop, or you follow up with them 2-3 times and then you don't get them to take the next right move. It's okay, because you still have that lead if you have a nurture campaign such as a blog or newsletter, what have you. And a study from a book called Get More Clients, such a really old book. I forget when it was published, but there was a study from 1823 in there. And it talked about how people need to see things 12 times. So going back to your 4,000 people viewed that ad, if you're doing that over and over and over again and they're seeing it, they'll eventually take action. But they need to see things 12 times before they say, wait a minute, what is this guy or gal selling? And then it's the 20th touch. And a touch is as simple as an ad, then coming to register, then they get your newsletter, then they get a follow-up call. And again, to the point of why you want to do follow-up calls, every single one of them are a touch. So very quickly, it's touch 20 where they actually buy from you. And very quickly, you can get through that 20th touch through your Facebook ads. And I like that you say it's not just Facebook, it's an online, but Facebook has a SEO and things of that nature. So there's so many strategic byproducts that come out of that. But I love the simplicity of that, and just paying attention to making sure, as you walked us through that process, I would add, make sure that you have some type of nurture campaign, a blog or newsletter or something of that nature, where you're constantly creating value for that lead that comes in through this modality.
Definitely. And I mean, one of the things that's kind of interesting that I'll briefly mention, the follow-up is so important that we've been working with some clients now going on more than 3 years, doing workshops at the same venue, at the same venue over and over again, month after month, and they're still packing the workshops. But with that being said, at this point, I would say, and I wouldn't say I know, that more people are actually registering for those events now on a monthly basis that are previous no-shows or cancellations than are new registrations. So basically that's saving them a whole bunch of money in future ads because of the follow-up processes, right? You know, some people didn't show up and then 2 months later they want to come again. So they're getting an email newsletter or something like that with that information. Their staff's following up with those no-shows to try to get them into the next workshop over and over and over again. And they're filling those workshops, more so with previous no-shows, which is excellent. You should be doing that because you've already paid the marketing dollars for that person anyways. So instead of throwing that in the garbage can and saying, you win some, you lose some, keep winning, just keep winning.
Yeah. Here's my last question for you that that I know many of the listeners might have. So the CTA, call to action. Do you have any sense, Jim, about what is converting higher? So I heard you talk about 3 call to actions. Maybe a download, a PDF download might be the call to action. Number 2, I heard you talk about the workshop, so the leverage, which is basically a leveraged way for you to meet with as many people as possible versus one-on-one initial consultations or initial consultations. Do you have any sense in regards to which one converts higher for either the workshop, the download, or the initial consultation?
Right. So they all convert. And so that's the issue. They're all going to have a varying cost for the ads based upon the required commitment that it takes for the person to act on your message or your call to action. So for example, if somebody was downloading a guide or an ebook or watching a recorded video that they can do on demand, so they provide their contact information and they access that material, the ad cost is going to be significantly less for you to get that person to do that thing. For example, estate planning and elder law attorneys are providing guides, and we do that marketing for them. They can get those people to, their contact information to opt in for somewhere between, depending on their location and the guide, because they're all different, probably about $4 to $8 a piece. So that scales pretty quickly, right? So if you wanted to get 100 new people on your contact list every month and it was costing you $6 a piece to get their contact information for $600 a month, you could get 100 new people on your contact list, which is excellent, right? Which is just awesome. But that's a numbers game. So what's the return on that? I don't know, right? Because the first person that downloads that material or watches that recorded presentation, they can immediately call your office and connect with you and say, let's set up that consultation. I need to do this. Or the 500th one might be the one that calls you and does that. If you follow up with those people, you put them into an email campaign, you invite them to a workshop, that number probably will increase more. But if you just leave it to chance, it's completely a numbers game. The workshops have been really good because it's more expensive to get somebody to register. Let's call it $30 a household to get somebody to come to your workshop, but they're actually going to commit and show up to your workshop. So then you have a better opportunity with the numbers to get those people in the consultations and the clients. You see the ROI much quicker. And then on as far as like just setting up a direct consultation, those ads are going to be a lot more expensive because the level of commitment is much greater than downloading a guide or signing up for a free workshop. And so your cost to get somebody to do that, I've seen range anywhere between $30 to $200, right? Which depending on, that's still great numbers, honestly, right? If you could just spend $200 and get somebody to sign up for a consultation, that's great. But again, the cost to do that because the level of commitment is much greater. And there's different strategies that you can go. You could, retarget the consultation to the people that have downloaded the ads. There's a million different things that you can do to make that successful. I think that's why the workshops have been that middle ground, that sweet spot, because not only are they getting them at a fairly inexpensive cost or a really inexpensive cost, but they're also able to convert a lot of those people into retained clients through the consultation process.
Mm. That's fantastic. So if you're not ready for workshops, not feeling like that's something that resonates with you, what I'm hearing is it's not an either or. It's you can do the guides, you can do the initial consultation. And for some people, they might say, I'm not ready for the workshop. I don't have a space. I don't have the confidence, whatever it might be. And I'm willing to pay a higher cost per lead. I'm okay with that. I'd be delighted with a lead for $200 that's qualified to come in for initial consultation. My average fee that I charge for my product, my service, whatever it might be, that's a great ROI for me. So, and let me ask you, do you provide the download guide for them with your process of something that works?
Yeah, we've created multiple guides and ebook resources for estate planning and elder law attorneys. So if you're happy, we'll send those to you. You can review them because every state's different, obviously. And then if you're good with those, then we just brand them with your firm information and we build the marketing material out. So it's pretty straightforward. And the nice thing with that is too, like it takes us about 3 to 4 business days to build it once you give us the okay, and then it's live. So, that within the first 7 days, you're already getting people's contact information from starting that.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Jim, for being a guest today on our show. Lots of amazing information. We could talk all day long about filling workshops, building relationships, how to grow your practice, all that. I know one thing I'm excited about is that many of you know that we have launched a new program of Mastering Your Next Law Firm Marketing Move. And Jim is going to be teaching 2 classes for us. So be on the lookout for that in regards to taking this conversation in a proven law firm Facebook ad specifically in the estate planning and elder law community. And again, you can take the strategies and put them into any area of practice, but the messaging and the content that Jim focuses on is in the estate planning and elder law arena. So be on the lookout for that, for the dates of the classes that Jim will be teaching for us that we're so very excited and grateful for. Also, I will have in the show notes how to connect with BAMBiz Online Marketing, so you can schedule how they hear more. How do they get in touch with you, Jim, if they want to hear more about this?
Yeah, the easiest way, you can reach out to me directly. My personal email is jim@bambiz, BAMBIZ.net, NET. And then one thing I just wanted to provide this as an offer to anybody that's listening to this. If you wanted to try us, I decided that just off the whim that I wanted to give everybody that's listening to this an unbelievable deal. So for $497, if you wanted us to try to market one of your single event at one workshop, one date, one venue to see how it goes. If you go to bambiz.net/Molly hiring, all one word, and then there's no HTTP or no www, just bambiz.net/Molly hiring. You can access that, and that'll be up there. We won't take it down, so anybody that listens to this can have access to that at any time. So hopefully that's something that people will like to take advantage of.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Wow. I highly recommend especially for that price point, you have absolutely nothing to lose to give it a try. So I'll have Jim's website, his personal email, as well as that link for today's special offer in the show notes for anyone who's listening. And when you want to go back, it'll be at the bottom of the podcast in the show notes for you to connect with BAMBiz and Jim personally. So great. Thank you. I think that's a good stopping point for us right now. And thank you for all of this tremendous information and value that you've created for our listeners today.
Thank you so much for having me on, Molly. It's been
Indeed.
fun.
Great. Okay, this has been another episode of the Hiring and Empowering Solutions podcast, where legal dream teams of entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs world really do come true. Until next time.